Alright, we're live. Or, I guess we're not live, but we're recording. I didn't really think of an intro.
Um, okay. Um, yeah, so welcome to the first episode of Diabolicast, a new podcast with with John and myself. Um,
Hello.
John, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's Jonathan, and I like movies and stuff.
And yeah, movies are awesome, and we are going to be talking about a couple here today. Um, So Jonathan has a Twitter and a letterbox, which we will link in the description. And I
Yes,
also have some relevant links you can also check out if you want to check out some of our ratings or opinions and stuff like that.
I used to have a Rate Your
Um,
Music, but I got banned. So,
yeah, yeah, because of Peppa Pig apparently. Is that
yeah.
right?
Peppa Pig ruins everything.
Yeah, I kind of unironically like that album. Like it's kind of funny. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I reckon anyone who's like interested, sounds like up their alley, they should check out that album. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, like, for what it is, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean like from a production and arrangement standpoint, there's actually like a lot going on. Actually, kind of appreciate about it, but you know,
Yeah, yeah,
this is gonna turn into a music podcast, soon. So we might, you know,
yeah. Have
um,
listened to anything
yeah,
good lately?
yeah. I mean like, imagine if this just turned into a Pepper the Pig, podcast instead of a movie podcast.
That would be pretty epic.
Yeah, that would be very epic. But yes. So the two movies we'll be talking about today are Office Space and Under the Skin. Um, John recommended Office Space, and I recommended Under the Skin. And I guess we'll start with Office Space. Um, John, do you want to introduce it since you recommended it?
Alright, Office Space is I don't remember when it came out. It's a 90s movie directed by Mike Judge, and it
Yeah.
stars Ron Livingston as a guy who hates his job and working at an
Yeah.
office, and he goes to a kind of hypnotherapist, and the hypnotherapist dies, so he becomes kind of this. I don't even know how to describe it, just completely
Yeah,
different person.
it's like like a psychologist or like some.
Yeah,
He
there,
obviously has some like alternative methods or something that not a lot of psychologists use. But
yeah, like there was some like fancy jargon for it. I don't remember what it was specifically because it was super long. But
yeah,
um,
he said some monologue, and then like Peter just like suddenly started to like get into this daze and stuff like that. And,
yeah.
yeah,
And to me, like him reacting to some of the things that happens in the ways he does after that incident is just one of the funniest things in the movie to me.
yeah. Um, so John, what was your overall like? What was your impression of Office Space?
I've seen it twice now, and it's one of my favorite comedies. Like, I get that it's not perfect, but it's just one of like the funniest things to me, especially Milton.
Mm. Yeah, there's so many good, you know, one-liners, but also like situational and visual comedy as well,
Mhm.
in the film. I particularly like the scene, like I think it's towards like the end or something like that. It's one of the best scenes of the second half where, it's kind of iconic now, but where they're out in the field and they get the printer and then they just start like fucking,
Yeah.
um, beating it with like a bat or something like that. And
Yeah.
the way they edit it, like they like it's like half the frame rate. It's like 15 frames or something like that. It's just like hilarious how it's edited, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
it's
and
just super
mm.
satisfying.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like the end of Death Proof when they finally get their revenge. It's like that's how
Yeah.
cathartic it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
it's I could talk about
What
Death
would you?
Proof too.
Yeah, Death Proof, I believe, is like actually shares some similarities with this film, believe it or not, in terms like revenge and
Yeah, I could actually see
I don't
that
know.
in a couple of scenes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like similar. I'd just say like in terms of like the framing of the plot, it does take some. I see some similarities, but obviously Office Space came first. Um,
Yeah. Have you
but
seen any of Mike Judge's other work?
Mike Judge, yeah, I used to when I was younger, I saw a bit of he had a great hand in making Beavis and Butthead, and I used to watch a little
Yep.
bit when I was younger.
Yeah, I love
Um,
Beavis and Butthead. I just like
yeah, mm,
Beavis and
yeah,
Butt. The
I know you're a big Beavis and Butthead fan.
not exactly a title I'm proud to have, but I am a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. I just remember the only thing I remember when I was from young is that they had a really. I love their laugh and I love their take on like modern like like artists. They would have feature music videos and stuff like that at various points.
Yeah, one of my favorite music videos of theirs is the one where they call King Diamond a turd burglar. I just thought that was the most hilarious thing when I first saw it.
Yeah, they have a lot of great bits on that stuff, and I think Mike took what he knew from Beavis and Butthead and took this really quirky but very relatable sense of comedy to Office Space. I think.
Yeah, yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
I've never even worked in an office, and there are situations that everybody can relate to, like especially with the
Oh
opening,
yeah,
with the
100%.
traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, yeah, I've never worked in an office, but I have had like some jobs and stuff like that. And the amount of accuracy in terms of like how the managers talk to the employees and just the general like, stuff that happens in a workplace is can be applied to a lot of workplace, and I think this movie really hits the nail on the head in that aspect.
Yeah, and like
Um,
there are parts of this movie with like Samir and like some of like the cake scene and like just little things like that that are just like super true in the funniest of ways.
mm, yeah, and Samir, Michael Bolton, those are probably my two favorite characters in the film. They are absolutely hysterical to me. I don't know why. Um, I
Definitely.
think it might have to. I think it might have to do with the fact that Michael Bolton just can't get over the fact that there's the terrible singer Michael Bolton that he keeps getting compared to and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
I found that really hilarious.
at least Michael is kind of like a normal name. Like if you were named Pat Boone, it'd be even worse.
Mm. Yeah, imagine if you were called Chance the Rapper, but we won't get into that can of worms right
No,
now.
but like it's I don't know. There's just something so charming about this movie. Like it's
Mm.
the runtime just flew by for me both times I've seen it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I was sitting through the movie and I didn't check the runtime until about 55 minutes in or something, and I was amazed. I was like, wow, I thought I was only watching this for like 20 minutes. Like, I was amazed. Like, in terms of pacing,
Hmm.
like, it was like, I think it's just 'cause like the scenes, even though they are paced at a certain length, you don't feel it because the dialogue is just so compact and interesting at every line that you don't notice the fact that it has been going that long. I think that's why it feels so quick and
Yeah,
um,
yeah, and like it's filled with so many scenes that are just so memorable to me, and there are like
mm.
parts that I remember as I'm rewatching it, and I'm just looking forward to it. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely the. I'll have to rewatch this eventually, but I imagine I'll have the same experience. Just like, oh, I can't wait until Milton just like says a bunch of just gibberish, and that's just like, um,
Uh, we should probably attach a spoiler warning if you care. Um,
yes. So uh, we are probably going to get into spoilers now. So um, if you haven't seen the film, go watch the film. Then come back and listen to the podcast.
Yes, I for one recommend it.
Yes, very much so. So, if we're getting to spoilers, I just want to make the distinction that this film has very two distinct halves. The first half is like the very the quirky but relatable and memorable first half, where a lot of the jokes are very situational based, and then
Yeah,
the second half is the like embezzlement, laundering like scheme that happens in the
and that
film.
sounds a lot darker than it actually is, but yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it reminds me a lot of Whisper of the Heart in that structural regard. Like, not tonally at all, but that movie,
Mhm.
the first half is a very quaint, kind of corny slice of life story, and then the second half it evolves into this really beautiful romance.
Yeah.
And
And like I did appreciate like the direction the plot was going, and there was still a bunch of great scenes within that second half.
mhm,
But I just feel like the film kind of got a bit too maybe not melodramatic's the word, but just it lost sight of the core of what the film to me, what made it so appealing to me. It just got a bit over the top for me. I don't know.
and the
Um,
hypnotherapist stuff wasn't over the top.
Um, yeah, I mean, the first half had a lot of like over the top stuff, but I think what grounded it was the sense of like um relatability, office life, and just like putting normal situations, but putting like a really over the top like hilarious slant on it. Um, so
hmm
like when the plot itself changed to that, it was pretty jarring for me. Maybe like when I watch it a second time, it won't bother me as much, but um like I still enjoyed the second half a lot because there was still I still really enjoyed. I was still like, oh, where's the story gonna go? It's you know, is this scheme gonna work? They're taking they're taking essentially a percentage of the business's earnings in every
hmm
increment essentially, and like transferring it to their own account.
Yeah,
Um, and that ends up pretty much you know failing, and they have to try to go back to the office and like fix it and everything and get the floppy disk back, I believe, and the whole building just ends up burning. It just
yeah.
ends up burning.
I'm pretty sure Milton caused it. I don't know. Feel
uh like yeah, exactly, like the film doesn't make it exactly clear, but um yeah, it's I think it's very much implied that he did do the burning.
yeah. I think Milton snapped.
Yeah, on this, if you there's actually a line of dialogue in the film, like, he says, "Oh, I've had it up to here. I've had enough." Like he murmurs it. I just heard it. Like,
hmm
um, and I think that's the best supporter for the fact that he actually did burn the building.
Yeah,
And
and when he's running away at the end.
yeah, it's I I I was thinking about doing like an impression of Milton, but I probably couldn't do it well because he's just got such an iconic voice.
Yeah,
Like, and the way he talks is really fast, but like it's so vulnerable at the same time because he's just saying a bunch of stuff that's on his mind, but you kind of feel sorry for him because of the way the workplace treats him.
yeah. Like I have a lot of sympathy for Milton, despite the fact that he kind of needs to speak up and speak a little
Mm,
more fluently.
exactly, and I definitely think like a lot of problems in the film could have been averted if he just spoke up a bit better. But that's the hilarity and the irony of the whole thing is that
hmm
um, he does have some sort of speech impediment or problem, and everyone's just like turning a blind eye to him because they just don't understand what he's going through and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people dismiss him as kind of the stereotypical
Mm.
like office. I don't know what you would call it. I mean, he's not exactly like a geek or anything, but he is like the person that everybody knows, but everybody wants to avoid because they don't want to
Mm.
deal with his problems.
Yeah, exactly. Like as that's very true to life actually, because like if people have the option to not deal with something, they won't. Like
hmm
um, and I think that's very reflective, not only in Milton but in Peter, in Michael, in Samir. They're all characters that get neglected on some level. Like
Yeah,
I think. as overall as the film's themes go, I think the whole process of like ignorance or negligence is very strong theme, like
Hmm.
in terms of like how the characters are framed. Like I don't know what your perspective would be, but yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes from this movie is, "It's not that I'm lazy; it's that I just don't care." And I feel like that's the main overarching plot of the movie. And
Mm.
I
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's just I feel like everybody to some degree has like like ignorance in both people being ignorant to them and them being ignorant to other people, and that's
Hmm.
kind of what it causes the film to come to like this head, and then it all burns to a crisp at the end, and it's glorious.
But yeah, literally burns to a crisp.
Exactly.
Yeah, and another thing I want to mention is the camera work, because I think the camera work is actually kind of special in this movie because um I watched a film last night called After Hours,
Yeah.
and ooh, you have a dog? I did not know that.
Oh yeah, I have two. One of them barks, but the other is good. Um,
Yeah, the I don't have a dog, so I'm kind of jealous.
you should get one if you have the chance. Just make sure that they don't bark, because it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, make sure. Yeah, hopefully, especially while you're recording a podcast, I imagine that's. But yeah, as I was saying, last night I watched a film called After Hours,
Mm.
and the camera work in that film reminded me of the camera work in this film because there's a lot of moving of the camera that emphasizes certain jokes or scenes that are very fluid and puts emphasis on lines more so than just saying the lines themselves. And that's what I like about the camera work in this film. Um, like even when they're in the office, the cinematography is like stagnant, but there is a certain fluidity and looseness to it, which I
Mhm.
appreciate.
Yeah, I wanted to. I also wanted to bring up the camera work because, like, that was my big issue with like the first time I saw it was that it was kind of shot like a TV movie. But when I
Mm-hmm.
rewatched it, I realized that that was kind of the point, was to make it this kind of mundane, like segmented um
Yeah.
movie. And for what it's worth, the coloring is actually pretty good. I thought it like when they're out of the office, and I feel like it's kind of more saturated when they're in the office, and so that kind of accentuates the feeling of relief you get when you get out into the colorful world and out of the office.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I did not think about that, but yes, the saturation. I think yeah, from memory it does change. So yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I didn't think of that. But no,
Yeah.
it's just little things like that that make the whole film pretty like it goes beyond just the surface comedy. In my opinion, it has a lot of little stuff like that that adds to the whole experience. Um,
Mhm.
I guess like two things that um the protagonist Peter, he's the main focus, and he does have a lot of good material they to like work with. But I just feel like in comparison with some of the other people in the office, he's definitely one of the more um, uh, I guess like hollow and a bit more uninteresting characters to me. Like,
Okay, the thing with Peter is that you can't have a movie comprised entirely of side characters. You can't have
hmm
The Office without Jim. Because
yeah,
if it was just the side characters, then it would kind of be directionless. And I feel like Peter is a good way to kind of get the plot moving. And
yeah,
I think for what he is, I think he's one of the better, like like humdrum main characters in this ilk.
yeah. I definitely see some aspects of that. He's definitely better than a lot of other um, those typical humdrum, everyman characters. He's definitely better than a lot of them.
Hmm.
I just maybe it's just because like uh once he got really chill and subsided, I guess like everything around him was so insane that I guess it took me a while to like get used to like the juxtaposition with the the really chill everyman with insane office and the side characters and whatnot. So again, maybe I plan to rewatch it, so maybe those problems won't be an issue for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
my only real issue is the romance, and I don't even hate the romance because
Oh yeah.
I think parts of it are like the funniest parts of the movie. Like you, without the romance, you wouldn't have what's the waiter guy? Is it his name Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian.
That yeah the guy with like 37 flares or something.
Yeah, I think he's like one
Yeah.
of the funniest parts in that entire movie. Like,
Yeah. I think it's just because he's such a little asshole, and I know someone like that in my life. Like at my, I've done a class, and there's a guy who's been exactly like that, and it just reminds me.
yeah,
Mm.
like, and like there are a lot of like stereotypes in this movie that are kind of uh played for laughs, I guess. Like, Drew,
Yeah.
um, who's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
rude joker of the office, and Samir, who's
Mm.
the stereotyped Indian who people always mispronounce. Um,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then there's like Lumberg, who's like one of the greatest characters like ever. Like he's not like a developed character or anything. He's just so funny and accurate to me, you know?
Mm. Yeah, like I think this movie gets away with not developing every single character. Not that it has to, but because like the traits they have are already so strong enough and resonate so deeply that they're effective for the screen time they do have.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'd say the romance is kind of a bit of a side thing that it didn't necessarily have to be there, but it was a nice addition anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
like it's not something that like I actively hate watching, you know, it's just something that I'm like, okay, yeah. I'd rather
yeah,
get back to the main plot with everybody else, you know?
yeah, exactly. And I mean, Ron Livingston and Jennifer Aniston, they do have some level of chemistry with the kung fu movie, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And ooh, I forgot to mention what's his next door neighbor's name? He was
Uh
hysterical.
Lawrence. Yeah,
Yeah, Lawrence. That's
I
his name.
love
He's
Lawrence.
he's absolutely fantastic. Whoever like played him is like a god to me. He's
Yeah, it
such a
just
good role.
uh yeah, like in like there are so many characters that might not have been there had it been
Mhm.
a movie about any like had it been a more direct movie, you know, like had it had one
Yeah.
clear plot. But as it's
Mm.
not, as it's kind of like this everyday slice of life movie that kind of turns into a little bit more at the end, like it, you get so
Yeah.
many of these like little bit roles that are just so funny.
Exactly, just those little touches like you were talking about, like, and it just makes the whole film as a whole a lot more memorable. Um, After you finish it, there's so many little moments that you can just pick out and I love when like pretty much the last line, one of the last lines of the movie is like, "It's pretty fucking A" or something like that when he's
Yeah.
working at the work site.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought that summed up the movie as a whole. Just that last scene,
Yeah.
just like
It was
despite all this insane stuff happening, at the end it just ends just really simply and just like, well, that happened, but we got to move on and live life and I think that was a great summary of the movie as a whole.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, it's
I think this is probably Mike Judge's best movie. I haven't
Mhm.
seen Extract. That's one I still have yet to see. I don't have actually a ton of interest in seeing it, but
Yeah,
Beavis and Butthead is dumb. Idiocracy is dumb but also smart, and Office Space is to me just the right mix of dumb and smart.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, yeah. so I haven't seen any of his other films, but I'll definitely have to, check out Idiocracy and Extract and some of his other stuff. I guess.
Idiocracy is pretty great, but it is
Yeah.
kind of an acquired taste because it kind of clobbers you with its social commentary.
Yeah. Is it kind of similar to a Michael Moore documentary in that sense?
No, 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 no. It's kind of like Sorry to Bother You in a way, except with Mike Judge
Uh.
humor. Um, where it's the most insane thing ever, and it's great. Um,
Okay.
if you like the character of Beef in Phantom of the Paradise, then you will love that movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not particularly against films that are on the nose as long as like the messages and like the film itself is like pretty strong inherently. So I'm not
Yeah,
I'm not that against it. Um.
like
Hell, I like the Virgin Suicides, and that was pretty.
you just cut
But
out. Are you there?
yeah, yeah, I'm there.
All right. Yeah, the Virgin
Yeah.
Suicides was pretty on the nose at times. I thought some of the dialogue was kind of corny, but I still
Hmm.
think that the message of the film just impacted me
Yeah.
on a pretty personal level. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
and Kirsten Dunst is pretty hot in that movie, so
Yeah,
um,
she's yeah. I mean, she's a very fit girl. I won't lie, but I think Sophia um Coppola is like a very talented director, and um, I honestly think she's a little better than her father. I'm not gonna lie. I think I
no, yeah, 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 yeah. Like,
like
I,
I haven't seen Apocalypse Now, but
oh, see,
um,
I love Apocalypse Now. I think it's great. I never want to watch it again. I, you know my thoughts on The Godfather. Um, yeah. Um,
yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a while, so but I remember that when I was younger, my dad really wanted me to like it, and I did like it, but he was really fanatical about it, and I guess that kind of made me have ultra high expectations. And then when I watched it, I'm like, huh, that was The Godfather? Okay, you know.
yeah, I like everybody kind of built The Godfather up to be the greatest movie ever made, and it just was like, um,
Mm.
well, like there are other movies that I could easily have done, like that have done The Godfather better. Like I just watched The Departed last night, and that was I.
Yeah,
It's not specifically a mob movie, but it has a lot of tonal similarities. I feel like Goodfellas does it
yeah,
a
for
lot
sure.
better. Miller's Crossing, the Coen Brothers movie, does it a lot better. Like there are gangster movies that are better than what The Godfather does.
Yeah,
Um,
I would like agree 100%. Even Goodfellas is like better than The Godfather.
yeah, I didn't.
Yeah,
Goodfellas is a movie I appreciate more than I like, but I I
yeah.
feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Taxi Driver and After Hours are my favorite Martin Scorsese movies, honestly.
Yeah, I'm keep meaning to watch those. I'll watch those soon, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
The Departed is my favorite so far, and like I've only seen probably four Scorsese movies, and he has a lot of movies. So I don't know
Mm.
when I'll get around to seeing the rest of them, but I am excited to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty daunting the amount of stuff he has. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and he's still making like a ton of movies. Like he just put out that Bob Dylan documentary, and he has the what is it, The Irishman, coming out later this year.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I think the trailer just came out for that, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'm excited for it.
yeah. He's not stopping. Let's just say he's on a roll.
Yeah,
But what
the
yeah. Um, what rating would you give Office Space just to wrap up?
um, I I feel like technically it would be like a nine for me, but like I don't know, there's just something about it that just kind of connects with me. So
Hmm.
I would give it a 10. Like it's not a perfect movie, it's not high art or whatever, but it is one of my favorite comedies.
Yeah, for sure. So
I would
I'm a bit advocate for like films that while yeah, it's not high art, what it does try to achieve it achieves like um, beautifully. Some comedies and some some films of that type.
Mhm.
So I totally get that rating.
Yeah, Bill and Ted, man. That's a great example.
Yeah, that's the equivalent for me, probably Bill and Ted's actually.
You there?
But yep,
All right.
yeah, I'm here, and your dog is there as well. So
Yeah. Um. Hold on.
yep, this is gonna happen every podcast. Just letting y'all know.
I. It depends on who's there.
Mm, yeah, true.
Like,
But I would I would personally give Office Space an 8 out of 10 for now. Um,
that's a fair
because
rating.
yeah, it's a very solid comedy. Just has some really it's only like minor things that I would say like hinder my experience overall, but still I really enjoyed it and I recommend everyone to check it out and really I think you get a lot out of it if it's not too heavy on content. It's pretty I think anyone could enjoy it.
Yeah.
And as an additional thing, I don't know how in hell this movie bombed. Like that's insane to me. Like that's crazy. But
Yeah. Like it kind of seems crazy in retrospect
mm,
because of all the actors that are in this movie, but yeah,
mm,
they weren't really big at the time, I guess.
I true, but like I guess people just I guess the market at the time was a lot different and people just weren't interested in that type of situational even like borderline. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. Office type comedy.
Mm, yeah.
But yeah, so 8 out of 10, and I recommend everyone check it out.
Yeah.
So I guess leads us to the serious part of the podcast, the the deep um dark part of the podcast, because the next film we're talking about is called Under the Skin. Um, it's directed by Jonathan Glazer. Um, I'll introduce it because I'm the one who recommended it for this episode. So essentially, the film follows um, an extraterrestrial being or some. Uh, the film doesn't make it explicitly clear, but it's very. I think it's implied that it's like extraterrestrial or something like that.
Yeah.
And it takes the form of a woman, and basically it starts luring men in for sustenance, essentially. And the film just follows her um, through those misadventures or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Now, I don't want to spoil the direction the film goes in until spoilers. We announce spoilers, but
It's kind of hard
uh,
to talk about this movie without spoiling it because it's kind of
yeah,
yeah, it's there's a lot that happens and simultaneously not much, if
yeah,
that
it's one
makes
of those
sense.
movies.
Like it's kind of repetitive. At least until like the last third where it gets kind of even crazier.
Somehow, yeah, it gets crazier. That's the weird part of it.
Yeah, if Scarlett Johansson leading men into black goo wasn't crazy enough for you. Um,
Yeah, the last part, Asta definitely dials it up to 11 for sure.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, John, what do you think of the film?
I'm still kind of comprehending it. I
Hmm.
think I liked it a lot. I need to watch it again because I watched it at like 1 in the morning and I was kind of falling
Oh,
asleep. Um, which was more my
gee.
fault. But I mean, I stayed awake through the entire thing, but parts of it were kind of hard for me to get through because of the pacing. But I'll definitely watch it again because I feel like if I watch it again, I'll catch a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. When I first saw it, I gave it. I was somewhat similar to you in terms of like how I viewed the film. But over the years, and the more I've watched and thought about it, it's grown so much in how much I respect the film and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
I think yeah, I think I saw this film when it came out. Really, not in theaters, but like close to when it came out, like 2014. ages ago when I was like only like 15, 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
But over the years, it's just kind of I've as I've changed as a person, I start to look for different things and stuff. The media I watch and stuff, and I guess like this film has also risen in like how I see it as well. Um, but I guess um, were there any specific things, John, that you took out of it that you kind of like, oh, I like that, or oh, I like the way that this film does this? Or
The cinematography, man, is just
oh,
amazing. That's what kept me awake for the entirety of it. Was just, it's a feast for the eyes. Like, you have to watch it, if not just for the cinematography.
yeah, of course, yeah. Um, but I think the main thing is that the cinematography is like, because it does change to like hidden cameras and also like wider shots throughout the film, and um, the way that Glazer kind of frames and blocks certain scenes is really like dark and really like horrifying in a way, especially in the Black Void scenes.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, Stranger Things just straight ripped this movie off. I swear. Like,
mm,
Jonathan Glazer probably has grounds to sue because, like, yeah,
yeah, for sure. And I don't want to go without saying that Scarlett Johansson does an absolutely fantastic performance in this film. I would
oh, definitely.
um, yeah, she had a lot to do, like a lot to like portray in this film if you think about it.
Mhm.
Um, like someone who's not necessarily human, but not necessarily entirely alien as well, kind of in the middle, and it's really hard to like portray that really effectively for the audience. But she somehow did it, so major props.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and look, I'm just gonna go ahead and say spoilers now because I feel like it's hard to talk about this film without going into like spoilers.
Yeah.
So if as I said before, if you haven't seen this film, go watch it and come back to the podcast
It's on
um, and
Netflix,
uh,
right?
lis- listen to our thoughts. But yeah, spoilers start now. Um, so essentially, she's leading these men and essentially using them as substance for meat. Essentially, at least if that's how you interpret it, because um, there's that whole conveyor belt scene where like you can see like the red um, blood in the meat, which I assume it is. But and then she starts to go after he she meets that disabled um, guy in the on the street
Mhm.
um, and lets him go. Um, essentially, she starts to have a bit of a realization of who she is as as a maybe not as a person, but as
As a
her place in
being.
the universe, and she starts to relate to humanity a bit. And um, sorry, I got a bit of a cough, but
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, and that
yeah,
that all leads to the scene where she's trying to eat cake, and I can't tell if it was supposed to be funny or not, but I thought it was kind of funny.
I think it's a bit of both. It's a bit of black comedy, I think. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Kind of reminded me
but
of Rosemary's Baby, which I watched a couple of nights ago, and that movie has a lot of. Actually, I watched it the same night. But that movie had a lot of black comedy in it, like where you're not sure whether
mhm.
you're supposed to laugh or just be like, "Oh,
Oh, that happened. You know.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot of what this movie is like. Oh, that just happened. Like, ooh, okay.
yeah."
Um,
It's kind of hard to
but this,
recommend
mm,
because it's kind of hard to talk about. It's hard to explain if you haven't seen it. So,
exactly. So, hopefully people who are listening at this point have seen it. I hope. Um,
yeah.
but regardless, I the way the plot goes, it gets really sad for me. Like, I actually start, getting pretty emotional about it because, um, yeah, she does do some really questionable, monstrous things in the first half, but you start to kind of have have a lot of sympathy for her as she starts to, you know, like she starts to pretty much fall in love with humanity and wants to, be in humanity and stuff like that. Um,
It's kind of like The
and
Little Mermaid, except not at all.
Yeah, except, well, if I'm putting it bluntly, it's The Little Mermaid, but pretty much a lot more fucked up, essentially.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So naturally, it's
And
a lot better.
if I'm being as frank, but um, yeah, this is obviously like 500 times, in my opinion, better than The Little Mermaid. I would.
Yeah, but is it as good as Ponyo? That is the question. The greatest film ever
Mm.
made.
Yeah, that's the real question. Yeah. Um.
I mean, I don't know if it's the
Yeah.
greatest movie ever made, but I do love Ponyo. It's just so heartwarming.
Oh yeah, it's I that's another film I saw when it came out. I saw it in theaters, and I fell in love with it when I was really. Still like it today. So yeah.
I didn't see it until like a couple of years ago, and when I saw it, I was like, I thought this was supposed to be like a little kids movie, and I'm like, it warms my cold dead heart. Maybe I'll recommend it someday on this podcast.
Yeah, I would love to rewatch it someday. But
Yeah,
um,
there's a lot of good Studio Ghibli movies that I could recommend, so might have to wait.
yeah, it's like it's just like something you put on, and it's just really heartwarming. But also, it has quite a lot of depth in it. In
Hmm.
relation, yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, this Under the Skin, it does have some parallels with like Ponyo and Little Mermaid in terms of like a fish out of water. You know, um,
but
you know,
it kind of doesn't do the normal thing where it's played for laughs. It's not like Aquaman or something where he's like eating the flowers. No, it's.
imagine, imagine halfway through this movie, you just see an octopus playing the bongos or something like in Aquaman or something like that.
Oh my
Pretty
gosh, I
funny.
forgot about that. Oh wow, that was the weirdest
Yeah,
movie. And
like I haven't seen the movie, but I that's the only thing I know about it and some other stuff like just the octopus playing bongos apparently.
it's pretty okay. It's at least
Yeah.
visually engaging, but it's not
Yeah.
something to write home about. Like it's pretty narratively slack, but James Wan is still a great director. So
Yeah, I think he's made I think like The Conjuring and like he's a talented dude.
yeah, I haven't actually seen the first Saw movie that he directed, but I have seen both Conjurings, and I do enjoy those. Those are some pretty good horror movies, for what they are, at
Yeah, for
least.
sure. I haven't seen Saw either, but I have to see it. Um but what was your opinions on the ending? Like did you get anything out of the ending? Like yeah.
Um, I'm not sure that I quite understood it entirely. Like, I haven't looked
Yeah.
anything up about it, but like, I feel like I kind of shouldn't and just draw my own conclusions. And
Yeah.
as it stands, I'm still not entirely sure what it means, but I feel like she kind of
Hmm.
becomes one with the earth and like
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
she's shedding her exterior so she can kind of walk freely among the humans and not have to reliably have to rely on like sustaining herself with humans, you know?
exactly, and she tries to assimilate into human society, but she just discovers she can't. After she tries to have sex with the that farmer dude, and like after that happens, she kind of gets all disillusioned and goes into the woods, and
Yeah.
that's honestly the saddest part of the movie, just seeing her break down and start to, you know, um, basically just not give up necessarily, but just like oh, I'm better if I'm not. I'm away from everyone. I can't fit in, and in a way she's right, but in a way I kind of still feel sorry for her. And
It's a very despondent movie. It's very cold and desolate, and I feel like that
yeah,
tone kind of ties into the actual theme of the movie.
yeah, for sure. It's and even and as you said, I think it's pretty relatable because even though we're all human and stuff, and we've never been through this exact experience as this main character, we still
No,
moments like that where we're just like um, trying to you know assimilate in with everyone else, but it just doesn't work out, or you can't seem to get it right. I think everyone feeling every once in a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't know, like it was such a visually wonderful movie. Well, wonderful isn't the right word, but it's a beautiful movie. Wonderful kind
Mhm.
of implies like whimsical, and it's not whimsical at all. It's it's pretty bleak, but I feel like it is visually beautiful. It reminded me a lot of The Witch in some ways, and just how
Maybe, maybe
uh,
the Disney remake of Under the Skin will be whimsical. I don't know.
I would pay money to see that. Miyazaki's Under the Skin. That is something I want to see. It's
John
such a
Trevorrow directs Under the Skin. Oh fuck.
I would pay good money to if Satoshi Kon was still alive. I would want him to do Under the Skin in the style of Paprika, which
Exactly. At least it'd be different. Like at least it'd be different.
now that I'm thinking about it, Under the Skin and Paprika are kind of similar in some ways.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
Like
but
this non-human creature who like wants to kind of connect with people.
yeah. But it's done at a very slow paced, um, you know, avoiding plotting way that that's unlike any Disney film really. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
this
so
movie's
that's what makes it different.
I would this movie's hard to recommend to most people, and that sounds really bad because I would still recommend watching it at some point. But it's pretty, I don't say inaccessible because that means that kind of makes it sound like it's like hard to find. But it is kind of on the artsier side. Like even as somebody who's
Yeah,
an A24 fan and such, like I was kind of finding it hard to get into some of the real depth of the story, but I need to watch it again. So
yeah, for sure. Um, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't like it, honestly, because it's quite a hard film to get into. Um, and it's only because I've had time to think about it and I've seen it like about 4 times, 5 times that I've like had it time for it to sink in. So, it's I would totally get if someone didn't like it on first watch because I wasn't that big on it on first watch either.
yeah,
So
I feel like it'll fit well with me as time progresses and I will rewatch it. It's one of
yeah,
those first viewing movies where you're like, well, that was good, but I think I don't truly appreciate this. It's kind of like what everybody says
mhm.
about Blade Runner. It's like you have to
Yeah,
watch it more than once.
yeah,
And
exactly, and yeah, it's a very this film is at least I think the one thing that most people can agree on this film is that it's definitely one of the more horrifying films in terms of like the pacing and how because the movie leaves a lot in the dark. It doesn't tell you a lot of stuff, so you end up like filling the blanks in yourself. And I think that's what makes it truly horrifying.
yeah, like leaving things unexplained is one of the most horrifying things to me. Is um like with the Thing, like that movie is like the most horrifying creature, and it doesn't ever really truly explain why
Mm.
like the biology of the creature and like I mean it kind of explains how it's absorbing things, but it just like the way it morphs into such different things. It's just like the scariest thing. It's that might you should watch The Thing at some point because that is a
Yeah, it's been on my watch list for a while, and yeah, it's like I've heard so much good things about it. I should definitely check it out very soon. Yeah.
it's surprisingly hard to find for a so-called like classic movie. It like
Yeah, that mm.
I had to go out of my
That's
way
what.
to find it.
Yeah, it's really annoying. That's what happened with Amadeus to me. Like I really wanted to watch Amadeus, but it was actually kind of hard to find.
Yeah, Amadeus is definitely one that's pretty. I don't know that it's out there, but like it like I've been waiting to watch it for a while, and not just because it's a long period piece with stuffy wigs and stuff, but because like it's kind of hard to find, and
Yeah, for sure. Um, I do think that I had to actually get a DVD copy, like the director's cut, and like just off eBay or something, and that's the only reason how I watched it. Like,
yeah, I
yeah,
feel like I'm gonna have to do that with Dario Argento's movies because his like there are a few that are actually available to rent on Amazon, but if you're wanting to dive into just more than the base level Suspiria, Deep Red type stuff, you're gonna have to like seek out copies of his work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's kind of annoying part, but at the same time, it's nice to own physical copies sometimes. So
Yeah,
there's that too.
it's kind of like just the fact that I don't want to buy something that I haven't seen before. No,
Mm,
like you can.
exactly, and for sure. And I always go on Netflix, some other YouTube movies, check in case it's available or something. But
Yeah, I've actually been holding off on my analysis of Suspiria that I was planning because I still haven't seen the original, and I feel like watching the original and the other two movies that Argento made with it would kind of help
yeah,
the flush out the mythology a little more for me because while the stuff in the remake, quote unquote remake, is there, it is very. If you haven't seen the movies, that like I had to do some research is essentially what I'm saying. Like I didn't get it at all.
yeah, of course, and like I know you haven't seen the original Suspiria, but I love that movie as well as much as the pretty much. So like,
Yeah, I love movies that are super colorful, and I really like Jessica Harper. So yeah, I'm
yeah,
excited to watch it.
she's a very underrated actress,
Yeah,
and um she's in Shock Treatment as well, which is not very well known film, but she was good in that too.
I'll have to
Um,
check it out. Back to Under the
yeah,
Skin.
for sure. Sorry, what was that?
Back to Under the Skin.
Oh yeah, back to Under Skin. Yeah,
It's kind of
yeah,
it's kind of an anti movie. Like it's not it's a movie that works, but not in the traditional ways that movies work. Like it doesn't really have much characterization. It doesn't have like the most like direct plot. It is
yeah,
kind of it is an art house movie, and so it kind of
yeah.
it
Like,
it goes at its own pace, and I have a feeling that most people would get pretty impatient with it. Like especially like oh, it's a slick thriller with Scarlett Johansson. That sounds
mm,
amazing. And then they watch it, and it's this like slow, brooding, like eerie, like movie that's like kind of hard to classify in one's like strict genre. Like it kind of
yeah,
it's its own thing, and I admire it for that.
exactly. It's very unique, and it's not at all what I think audience expect, and I wouldn't, as I said before, I wouldn't blame anyone for not liking it. It is quite alien,
Yeah,
and it's quite alien, like, and that's kind of fitting since the movie is focused on an extra. But um, yeah, I think even if you know if you come out of this film and you don't like it, at least you gave it a try, and I didn't like it, but there were quite a few things that I thought were pretty admirable about it.
yeah. I don't think anybody could like outright hate Under the Skin. I just think, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there, but I just I feel like that
Mm.
there are some people who will get it, and some people who will just be like, "That was boring. I didn't get it. I don't like it," because it does not hold your hand at all.
No, it does not. It does not like guide you. It just shows you the events and you interpret it how you want, pretty much.
Something I
Yeah.
noticed about the pacing of this movie was it was kind of a parallel with Scarlett Johansson's routine. Or I know she probably
Yeah.
has a name, but I'm just referring to her as Scarlett Johansson because I mean I don't know that
She
there are
doesn't have a
any.
name.
Yeah, there are there any characters with like actual names? Like from what I
Uh,
remember, looking at the cast list, it was just like the fill in the blank person, you know?
it's like I think Scarlett's technical name is like the female or something, or um,
That would make sense. Um, but like
and yeah,
I feel like it was kind of like teasing you with something bigger and bigger and bigger and leading you further into this abyss and then just you're drowning in it. and then you shed your skin, and it just becomes something
Yeah.
insane. Which
Well, exactly.
I found the
Yeah.
entire movie great because it lacked a framing device. Like, I feel like most
Mm.
movies are framed in a certain way, and this movie was so natural, both in pacing and in like shot composition, and it just kind of flowed naturally, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, and that's a good point because it's hard to make a film without a clear framing device, and it's like letting the scenes just carry like the entire momentum of the film essentially, like just because I don't know if you know this, but some of the actors and some of the men that she actually picked up off the street were actually just locals around the area that they filmed.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
I heard
but
about that. It,
yeah, but they later told them that they were filming a movie and asked them if they wanted to be in it and whatever.
yeah, I think that's like the best idea ever. Except like, it gets kind of weird. Like I was like, wait, did they tell them about this? Like,
Mm.
how would they like respond to this? Like like
Yeah,
I greatly admire the ambition of this movie. I will put it that way.
yeah, it's definitely like ambitious. I think um, you know, not since like I don't want to make any Kubrick comparisons because I don't really like making Kubrick comparisons, but it's an entirely different film from 2001. But I feel like a lot of that ambition and that mystique and that slow pace carries on from that film. If
I
you know,
could definitely see that. Except this one
mm,
was honestly it's not completely a silent film. There are moments of dialogue, but excuse me.
mm,
Like there were it's practically a silent movie. I mean, it's cerebral and ethereal and just such a slow ramp up in tension and dread. And it's just a fascinating movie. And I'm not going to give it like a 10 because I feel like I still haven't gotten the full experience, but
mm,
I did like it. I do think it's a pretty great movie. I need to
yeah,
watch it again.
yeah, and I wouldn't say it's like perfect. Yeah, I do think some of the scenes are just like in terms of like how long they hold on certain like landscapes could have been cut just a little bit, like just a little, like
Yeah,
in
I
terms of
could Yeah, I could see that. It was surprisingly like a bit longer than I thought it would be. Like I thought it was a kind of a short movie, but it was a tiny bit longer. It was still pretty reasonable though. Like I don't
yeah,
like it's not like a 5 hour movie where like the pacing is just super slow. It's not a Bellatar movie. Is essentially what I'm saying. It's like
yeah. I get it. Um, it's I kind of prefer it that way because like it allows you to really soak up the atmosphere of like glass Scotland and you know I prefer the slow pace because it allows me to really like get immersed into the world.
hmm yeah. It
But
just
yeah, yeah.
if you're expecting like this super like immediately hits you thriller. I don't think it really is a thriller. It's hard to really classify. It's just like
I yeah, it's very hard to classify genre wise.
whatever you expect going in, I wouldn't expect because it goes in a pretty interesting place. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it's just to me it's just sci-fi with a heavy use of realisms. That's how I would classify it.
yeah, like it's
Um,
there
mm,
are like actually moments of surrealism in this movie that I was not expecting
yeah.
that I really appreciated. Like I thought I caught a couple of homages to Eraserhead and other David Lynch
Oh yeah.
movies, like
Yeah.
the disabled guy that she meets. That makeup to me looked very similar to the guy in the Elephant Man. Um,
Oh yeah.
which I thought
I
was
didn't pick up on that, but I can see that. Yeah.
that was kind of a cool callback. But yeah, it
No,
was.
that was really cool.
I don't know that I've actually heard a lot of comparisons to Eraserhead, and I don't know that it's that similar to Eraserhead. It's like it might have the same kind of surrealist lack of explanation, slow ramp up in suspense and dread, but like tonally, like, Eraserhead, I feel nothing to. It weirded me out. And this movie, I
Yeah,
actually kind of connected with, especially by the end.
yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, Eraserhead is like a movie that I have mad respect for, but I don't know if it's really something that I personally find like a massive enjoyment out. Um,
No, I don't know that it's an enjoyable movie. Like, I would like pay my family as much money as I have though, just to see
yeah,
them watch it. Like, I feel like watching people watch Eraserhead would be better than actually watching it. No,
yeah, that some movies are like that. Yeah, I would say the same, honestly. Um,
it's
but
with this movie though. I don't feel like it's that. It's not going to be one where like people are watching it and they just get like the like craziest responses. Because
oh yeah,
it doesn't quite hit you, it just kind of slowly creeps up on you.
exactly, and it doesn't give you any easy answers or straightforward like images that are gonna like, oh my god, what is this? Or like there are some moments where I was like holy shit, like when she's on the beach and she like there's some guy lying on the sand and then she just knocks him out, and that
Yeah.
that that got me.
there
That
are
was yeah.
there are moments in this movie where I was just like, "Whoa." Like
Yeah,
that where did that come from? And that was one of them.
exactly, and there are many of those moments in this movie, but um, I think overall, like, I think you get the most out of this movie. Like John said, if you just like just experience for yourself, and you know, uh, as as John said, I wouldn't say it's for everyone, but I would say that if you're willing to have a bit more of a more spaced out film, I think this one would be definitely up your alley. But yeah.
Yeah, and especially if you're one to do drugs, which I've never done drugs, but I feel like this would be a great movie to get high to. Should you be a junkie?
Yeah. Hopefully, it doesn't turn into a bad trip when you're watching it.
Yeah. Speaking
I
of
could see
bad
it turning
trips,
into a bad trip.
uh, when do you get Midsummer over there? Because I'm dying to talk about that with somebody.
Ooh. The thing is like they were doing a screening actually today. Like an early screening in Australia. Emphasis on the word early because it's not really early since the rest of the world's got it. Um,
Yeah.
but I couldn't because I have something on that like clashed with it, so I'm really pissed off. Yeah.
Well, I highly
Um,
recommend seeing it. It's my favorite movie of the year thus far, and it's a bit more accessible than Under the Skin, but tonally they kind of share a couple of similarities. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, I haven't seen Midsummer, but I will definitely. Like it comes out, it comes out in like a few days here. It won't be long. It's like a week, I think. It should be okay.
cool. I mean,
I just gotta.
you got
Yeah.
Parasite, so we're even.
Sorry, what was that?
You got Parasite, so we're even.
Yeah, exactly, sir. Australia got really lucky with that movie. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure
But
why they released it there instead of like, um, where is he from? Korea?
yeah, yeah, I think South Korea or something.
Yeah, because like it would make
Yeah.
more sense to release it in its native country first, but I mean,
I don't know. It's more to do with like distribution. Like I don't know. Weird how they plot it.
it did have kind of weird distribution. I mean, it's not coming out here until like October, and that kind of annoys me. But
Well, yeah.
October's gonna be stacked because The Lighthouse is coming out in October too.
Yeah, it's just like A24 especially like in regards to Lighthouse Under the Silver Lake, like the distribution is a bit all over the place. Like I don't know.
Yeah, like I wanted to see the souvenir, and it barely had a release here, especially since John Wick Chapter 3 came out the same weekend, and so
Yeah.
I'm kind of
That's yeah.
I'm excited to watch it because I'm a big Tilda Swinton fan, but I don't know. It felt kind of weird how they like ignore some movies and then just hype up others. Like I still haven't seen The Last Black Man
Yeah,
in San Francisco because it barely got a release here. Um,
yeah,
didn't see Climax,
me,
didn't see High Life. Those were two movies that I wanted to see but haven't seen yet.
yeah. I was lucky enough to like go see High Life at the festival. That was a Sydney festival, and I so yeah.
I've heard it's kind of love it or hate it, but I
Uh,
te-
I'm like neither. I'm kind of in the middle, strangely.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I haven't seen any Claire Denis movies, so I don't know whether I would appreciate it or not. But I tend to like movies that feature um I can't pronounce her last name. Is it Binoche?
Um. Julia Binoche. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's how you pronounce
Three
it.
Colors Blue lady.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, she was good in Blue. She was really good in Blue. Um. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of that film, her performance was the thing that carried. Yeah.
Yeah, um, I have to
But
recommend you some other Three Colors movies in the future because, especially Red, they're all great though. So
yeah, they're all yeah. Um. I've only seen like maybe two or three films she's in, but like what I've seen, she's pretty good. Um. But um, I'm seeing similar parallels in terms of like how Under the Skin was distributed. I remember that I heard about it in about 2013, maybe early 2014, but I wasn't able to watch it until like much later. But and it turned out that it was only at like festivals and stuff for a solid year, and it didn't come out. It was really annoying. Like
yeah,
so, looks like much hasn't changed in terms of like um, how films are getting distributed, especially like smaller, um, more indie art house films. But
yeah, and those are like all the movies I want to see. But
well, yeah, exactly.
yeah, I used to be like a big blockbuster fan, and now I'm just like I've kind of delved deeper into movies, and I'm much happier now than I was then. I feel like I have a more defined taste.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Um, I'm very similar as well. In terms of like my movie taste and house of like I think once you've seen like a lot of blockbuster films, you start to like want to watch like more smaller, um, you know, films that are actually like unique and have a some alternative vision that you haven't seen before. And I think there's a lot to appreciate in that style of filmmaking, whatever.
Yeah, um, I feel like
And mm,
I I feel like a lot of the blockbusters like once I was at an age where I could realize that a lot of the blockbusters were kind of bad or kind of not worth watching. I was
yeah,
kind of directed towards like my gateway into the unknown was like with biopics because I used to really like biopics and I still do with some of them, but um
yeah,
since then like Wes Anderson was a big thing for me, and then Studio Ghibli kind of got ushered me in into the more obscure. And now I have Criterion Channel, and I'm getting introduced to a lot of these great foreign movies, and yeah, it's been a good ride.
oh nice. I wanted to get that, but it's unless I get like a VPN or something. I think I can't get the Criterion channel over here in Australia.
I
I
really
can't
love the Criterion Channel in principle, but man, is it a butt. Like I I can watch movies on my phone, but it won't let me cast it to the TV, and it won't let me download an app for Amazon, and it just I don't know.
seriously.
Yeah, like it. I don't know. Maybe it's a problem with the TV, but like I have to like buy another device for me to even be able to watch movies on computer is awful. Like it
Mm.
crashes half of the time. Like I tried to watch Persona, and that I got about 20 minutes in, and I mean I hate watching movies on the computer because I don't know. I just don't find it comfortable. Like I want to like
Yeah,
lean back and relax. And with computers, like I have to kind of sit up, like get bring a couch and just.
100%. I would like 100% agree with that. Cause, and also too, I find I notice so much more if I put it on my TV rather than my computer. I don't know what it is, but I view it what like differently. I don't know what it is. Like,
Yeah,
but also the couch thing is like a mad plus. Yeah.
yeah. Like just the ability to be able to lean back and cross your legs is something that you can't get with like computer viewing. And I've seen a few movies on my computer, and it's pretty uncomfortable. Like I don't
Mm.
know, but yeah, like
Yeah.
the problem is like I got Criterion Channel partly because I noticed that they had a bunch of Akira Kurosawa movies, and I he's kind of infamous for a lot of his long movies, um,
Mm.
and so I got it so I could watch a lot of them like on the TV, and yeah, it isn't working. So and there's no way in hell that I'm going to watch a 3.5 hour movie on my phone. So
No, that's ridiculous. Like, as if and like unless you got your phone on a charger, it's gonna drain your phone like hell. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
um,
like I've watched a few movies on my phone on the Criterion Channel, and they've all been pretty short movies, but
mm,
um, and those like as long as they don't have like these huge scales and like they're really long and have this impressive cinematography,
yeah,
it's fine. Like especially if they're dialogue driven. Like I've seen a couple of noir movies on there, and it's pretty fine, you know. But like I would
yeah,
10 times rather watch a movie on the TV than on my phone because it's
yeah,
just such a small screen, and I don't know.
yeah, for sure. Certain films work better on like smaller screens, but even like the film we were talking about, Under the Skin, I think would work a lot better on the TV because I
Yeah,
think it's better if you watch that film relaxed. Um, you know, just with your legs out, just like let it's a very calm movie in terms of like pacing. So having a calm, sitting atmosphere would help.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's pretty. I don't want to say relaxing because it's not a relaxing movie, but
Oh,
uh,
for
it's
sure,
not
yeah.
relaxing, but it is relaxed in its pacing.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's good to be in a relaxed environment when you're watching it, so so when the batshit stuff does happen, you're not sitting up in a computer like. But yeah.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of like a movie I watched on the computer where I felt like I was seriously like meant to watch it on a computer. And like the only movie that I feel like I
Mm.
should have watched on a computer was Searching, which I saw in the theater. And I
Oh
even
yeah.
then I didn't feel like I missed much not watching it on a computer because it was so much more comfortable. So
Yeah. I mean, hypothetically, like the bigger the screen, like the more immersed and more and cinemas have usually have very comfortable seats, and
hmm
it helps to
if you go to the right
immerse you.
ones,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
um,
Um, I know I don't know how like cinema chains work in America. Um, like like Australia is like dominated by like main cinemas, apart from maybe some like lesser known like um not art house theaters, but just like smaller theaters and stuff like.
yeah,
Yeah.
I city I live in has like a couple of theaters that are like not straight art house, but they do play movie like they play a lot of older movies. Like
Yeah.
I don't know that they'll play like the 20th anniversary stuff, you know, rather than like the big cinemas that just
No,
play
for sure.
the the new releases,
Yeah.
and occasionally if it's a huge movie they'll play it in for like a 2 night event. Um, speaking of which, I missed Kiki's
Mm.
delivery service, and I'm not happy.
What'd you miss?
Kiki's delivery service in the theaters, but
Oh,
I own it, so
damn.
it doesn't matter. It's I'll
Yeah.
just have to rewatch it because
Yeah, I missed Princess Mononoke. They showed it at one of the theaters and I missed it.
yeah, I saw that one in theaters last year. With I showed my mom it for the first time, and she really liked it coming out of it. But since then, she's like I didn't like that because she only remembers like the really like gory parts, and she doesn't remember like all the beauty of the movie. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
No,
weird.
that's like I swear like totally different scenario, but um I had to like go see The Lion King, the new remake with my mum, and I was like, when I finished it, I didn't, I didn't want to say, oh, I hated it, blah blah blah, go on a rant. All she could remember was like, oh, the lines are cute and the, stuff, stuff like stuff that's like really incidental and just like doesn't really say anything. I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah, I feel like I show my like my parents. I mean, this isn't like an attack on my parents or anything because for the most part they have introduced me to a lot of my favorite movies or movies that I really like. Like my parents
Yeah.
introduced me to Office Space, for example. But um which that was kind of an awkward viewing experience, but yeah, that
Yeah.
was um
But it's different when I watch films with friends and films with my parents. It's just like a different like I don't know, in terms of
it's a much different
discussion and
dynamic. Yeah. Although
yeah, but
I have to say watching movies with my mom is fun, not for like the actual viewing, although I mean it depends on the movie, but like the discussion that follows, like I showed her a Serious Man the other day. It was a couple weeks ago, and
yeah.
she didn't like it per se, but she thought it was interesting, and I had a fun time just kind of explaining a lot of the pretty insane core themes of the movie, and that's another one I feel like I need to do a big meaty, exhausting analysis on because, like, it is a movie jam packed with symbolism.
Oh yeah, even when I was watching it, like I didn't get every single piece, but I knew there was like some form of like, you know, um, symbolism in the film. And, you know, even on just like a face value, level, that film is fantastic anyway. But the symbolism just adds a lot more to the
Yeah,
depth, I guess.
that's one of my all time favorites, man. We'll have to watch it for this podcast sometime because, like, it's just
Yeah, eventually.
there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, it's just like just in terms of scenes, dialogues, everything. It's just like yeah, it's just jam packed. Coen Brothers are always great at that. They put so much into them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I do
Um.
love me some Coen Brothers. Like I've seen all their movies. Like I watched all of them a couple like earlier this year, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. I still gotta watch like some of the key ones. Like I haven't seen No Country for Old Men yet. Even.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that movie when I first saw it, but when I rewatched it, when I was kind of watching all their movies for the first time, the last 20 minutes are like super unnecessary. Like I don't
Mm.
want to spoil it because you haven't seen it, but like there's a certain moment in the last 30 minutes where it like it has a character walking away, and I feel like it just should have cut there, but it like goes on for 20 more minutes afterwards.
Ugh. I hate when movies jump the gun like that. Like the whole rest of the movie is fantastic, but then the last 20 minutes they'll just like completely like do some weird plot choice and completely like ruin the rest of the movie or something like that, or just like it will like lower your like. I can't remember which movie it was, but I was ready to give a movie like a 9 or a 10, and then something happened in the last 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is happening. Okay.
Yeah, and then there are some movies like The Usual Suspects, are like the total inverse of that, which are like not that good at all until the last like 20 minutes.
Yeah, true. They're the opposite as well. If I could
Chinatown
think
was
of an
like that for me.
example, um, uh, oh, I can't think of anything right now. But if it comes to mind, I'll mention. But yeah, there are some films like that. I think there was a film. I think I gave it like a 5 or 6. Um, not like at the end, but like I know we're not a big fan of this film, but like Annie Hall, they were
Yeah,
like most most of the film is like has a certain level of quality to me, and then like there are brief flashes of just like oh wait, that's actually like really insightful. Or I actually don't mind that scene, but then it'll just go back to like what it was before. And I hate when movies are like that because like I see the potential or I see stuff I like, but they just didn't do more of it.
Yeah, I like. I part of me feels like I need to watch Ain't Hall again because I don't know that I gave it a fair
Mm.
shake, but I don't know. There was just something about that movie that was just. I appreciate the ending because he doesn't. I guess spoilers for Annie Hall. He doesn't get the girl, but
Well, kind. Well, yeah, kind of.
yeah, like the there is some repercussion to his attitude, but like that movie, so much of it is just spent with him being such a like pessimistic, 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 just douche. Like it just
Yeah, yeah.
I try I feel like I'm a cynical person, but I'm not that up my you know. It just
No, but the thing is like, I don't think Woody Allen intended him to be an arsehole. I really think he wrote him as a general, like a likable character. But
and that's what
I
makes
think
it pretentious.
yeah, I know, and that's like one of my main problems is that we're expected to like this guy, like not even on a like unlikable level, just like in a pure likable fate. But like I feel nothing in that way in terms of the main character.
Yeah. So we kind of got
Yeah.
distracted. What you rated Under the Skin? What?
Rating.
Yeah.
Um, I'll give look, like similar to what you said with Office Space, like there are some small things that maybe don't make it a perfect film, but I think on a pure emotional and what it has, how it's stuck with me over the years, I have to give it like a 10. Yeah,
Yeah. I for now, it's an 8 for me. For now, I need to rewatch it because I feel like
yeah,
there's a lot that I missed, but I'm excited to rewatch it because it was
yeah,
such a like
yeah, we,
you can tell like that there's so much in the movie. It just doesn't like it didn't really appear to me the first time I watched it, and I feel like under
yeah,
different circumstances that
yeah. It doesn't necessarily jump out at you on first watch unnecessarily,
yeah. So
and yeah, um, one thing is that like um I think the thing with Under the Skin is that we've been like jumping from topic to topic and discussing it and like it's a very mood based film and it's kind of hard to put into words. So um
mm,
I think watching it for yourself is the best way to kind of get a lot out of it. I think you know
yeah.
for sure. Um
Dude. So I don't really know how to end podcasts. Did you want to do like a questions type thing, or did you?
um yeah, sure. I actually have like some questions in mind.
All
Um
right,
it can be for both of us. Um
all right.
this is kind of a specific question. But have you ever been to like a theater and they either show like the wrong movie or like the projector just like has an error and just stops playing? Like, you ever been to a theater like that? Because it's happened to me like multiple times.
That's weird. I've had bad theater experiences, but it's never been with a projector. Like it's always
Yeah,
been with the people around me. It's never been like a problem with a projector. There was a movie I don't remember what it was, but like it was yeah, like they projected it like about like a foot above where it was supposed to be projected, so it did appear a bit wonky, but I got
yeah,
used to it.
yeah.
But
You get used to like that.
man,
Um,
I've had some bad theater
what?
experiences.
Oh yeah. In terms of like general bad experiences, like I saw I saw Hereditary in theaters actually.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Whew.
yeah,
I
and
have I didn't see that in theaters, but I heard some pretty bad stories.
yeah, well, this one guy kept, you know how like there's like this motif of like the whole like
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
throughout the film.
Which I've heard.
Um,
The theory is that it's the demon getting closer.
yeah, there's that whole side theory of it, and I was confused because this guy was keep making this constant annoying joke where he'd go like he'd do that sound, and I didn't know when the film was doing it or when, because it's surround sound, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did exactly the same, so it was really hard to tell. Um,
Yeah.
but I saw it twice in theaters actually, and the second time was a lot better because I could actually tell what the film was actually.
Yeah, Midsummer, like that wasn't a horrible theater experience. Cause it's part of it is kind of a black comedy. But like there were definitely parts that like I was taking a lot more seriously than the rest of the people in there. There were a couple of like dude like dude bros and jocks that were in there like just
Dude, bro. Imagine
oh look rituals and stuff. Yeah.
it's like sadly I got a little bit of the film spoiled, not to like the point of ruining it, but just like I could just imagine when they're in the woods and that whole like round scene happens. Like I'm sure you know which one. I'm sure all the dude bros in the audience will go like, it's funny. Stuff
Yeah,
like that.
there was definitely a little bit of that. Although I must say there's a certain scene involving a cliff that was absolutely hilarious. Just to hear everybody's gasp, like collective, oh, and there was like somebody, like some guy, like right behind me in the theater, like it just like it went super quiet, and then this guy just behind me just whispers, "Oh shit!" It was just hilarious.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love when that happens.
Yeah, and like sometimes like theater experiences can like kind of enhance the the
Yes,
the
sometimes,
movie,
yeah.
but other times it's kind of
Mm. Yeah, but I think um, I've had plenty of experience where the audiences can be like endearing in like a funny way or just annoying, like in terms of how they react to. Like I
definitely.
had this one, I had this one guy. I was watching Under the Silver Lake, and even he would laugh at like everything, like like not like every single scene, but like just like constantly when it wasn't even trying to go for a joke or anything.
Hmm.
So like and it took you out of the experience, like you're trying to get immersed in like the arc of the story, and like this guy would just laugh, and his laugh is not quiet. It's like a like stuff like that, and it's
Yeah,
just like I don't know. That really pissed me off.
yeah. Like, wait, you saw Under the Silver Lake in theaters? Like, I thought that was like half impossible.
Well, like here's the thing, right? That film's distribution was so bad that it came so late in the release cycle um, to Australia, and when it did come to Sydney, it was only showing in like one theater, like legit.
Well, at least
And I was just
you got one theater. I don't even know that it was showing in my town at all.
yeah, it's absolutely like stupid how they distributed that film. Like I feel sorry for the filmmaker. Like
Yeah, and like, yeah, it's on Amazon now, so I'm sure they made a nice buck selling the rights over to them, and I'm sure that they'll get
yeah,
uh
yeah,
royalties and
hopefully,
everything from rents. But I don't know. 24 kind of messed up with that one.
yeah, but yeah, I think it's less common to have like just backtracking a bit. It's less common to have like actual like projector or like film issues, but it's more common to have just general shitty like audience a theater. I think. Um,
Yeah.
um, but having said that, um, you know, I think you got to have a point where you're like, I got to put up with all this bullshit happening in the theater, and I don't want to be one of those guys who just like yells at the guy across the theater like, shut the fuck up or something like that.
Yeah. There is that clip from Seinfeld, though.
Okay.
There was I saw something that was like a clip from Seinfeld that was him yelling at a guy in the movie theater, and it was perfect.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Um.
yeah. Do you do you have any question, or do you want me to ask the next
Uh. I'll give it a go. What's your favorite director, or what would you consider to be one of your favorites?
favorite director?
Yeah.
Ooh, uh, let me have a think about that. Okay, one that just immediately sprung to mind was Edgar Wright. I'd say he's a fantastic. Um,
I'm a huge fan
um,
of Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim, and I like Shaun of the Dead a lot, and I like The World's End and Baby Driver, but they're not like super huge favorites of mine. But yeah, I do like
yeah,
Edgar Wright.
fair enough. Who else? I really like Dario Argento. He's really great. Um, Brian De Palma, uh, Martin Scorsese. He's a good director. Um, uh, do you mind if I just like have a look at like some just like because I usually have like a list of like
Yeah,
usually stuff
yeah.
I like. Yeah. Jonathan Glazer. Like I've only seen one film, but like just judging off that one film, like he's a fantastic director. He obviously knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Um, Charlie Kaufman. He's a great director. Um, I know that you're not the biggest fan of Synecdoche, New York, but like
I need to rewatch it because I have very conflicting thoughts on that one, but I hope I end up
yeah.
like falling in love with it once I rewatch it.
When I saw that film initially, it actually made me like legit depressed for like a week. Like it was pretty bad.
I could definitely see that. It kind of has that kind of has that quality to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just one of those films. Um, if I if I can think of one anymore, I'll mention it. But what about you? What are some of your favorite?
My go-to is Hayao Miyazaki. He has the highest quality. I mean, like I can't really think of a movie of his that I outright like dislike. Like maybe Castle in the Sky, but like he has so many movies that are just so close to my heart.
Yeah, he's a beautiful director in terms of like he knows how to portray beauty so well. That's
Hmm.
his best trait, in my opinion. Mm.
Um, Satoshi Kon, uh, like he has a very small catalog, but I've loved pretty much everything. Uh,
Yeah,
wasn't huge on Millennium Actress, but I need to rewatch it.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
haven't seen everything by Sofia Coppola, but I am interested to see everything else because the stuff I've seen is great. And
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson, um,
Oh yeah, for sure.
like he is just yeah, he's awesome. Like yeah,
Yeah, he's like Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love, and
yeah, 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 yeah.
and The Master and stuff like that. Those are fantastic films in my opinion. I love those.
We'll probably be lynched if we don't include There Will Be Blood in that discussion too.
Yeah, I actually watched the first half of that film ages ago, but something happened. I just wasn't able to finish it. I've never gone back. I should finish it.
It's pretty great. I mean, I have it at 5 stars, but that's only I don't know. It's not an enjoyable movie per se, but it's definitely worth watching. It's a good one.
For sure. The only film I feel that's overrated in his catalog is Boogie Nights, which I've never really gotten, like in terms of like widespread.
That's the one of them I still haven't seen. Inherent Vice is the one I saw that I wasn't super into, but
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet, but I have to get around.
it's pretty okay. Like some of the it's kind of miscast in some areas, and it wasn't entirely. It's not. It's paced really weird, but when it's good, it's good. So I mean, it's worth
Yeah.
watching.
Actually, I nearly saw that film in theaters, but I think the session got cancelled, and it was on like the last day or like second last day. I never got the chance to see it in theaters, sadly. But
Dang.
yeah, but yeah, that's like one of the regrets of my life. But I'll definitely watch it eventually.
Yeah.
Um,
Obligatory mentions Kubrick, uh,
yep.
Coen Brothers, um, Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu. I believe that's how you say it.
Yeah,
Um,
they're they're all directors that um, a lot of people can appreciate, but there are things in their films that can be personal to everyone. I think like they'll
Yeah.
appeal to like for sure. Um,
I also
do
think
you,
oh, you go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say that I think that one of the most underrated films in Kubrick's filmography is Eyes Wide Shut, which is
Still
you know
haven't seen it. I want to.
yeah, it's definitely one of his more like subtle films, but I think it's one of his best in terms of character. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely check it out.
yeah, my favorite's kind of a normie answer, but I don't know. There's just nothing like 2001, and it's just kind of perfect.
Yeah, I got the chance to see it on 70 millimeter when they
Haha.
showed it. Yeah, I was just like, what? It was like it was fantastic seeing it on like a big screen and on film, and it was just like it's honestly like the like if you can ever get the chance, I would highly recommend. Perfect. That's what I think.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then to close it out, like there are a couple directors that like haven't made a ton of movies yet, but like I am I'm extremely excited to see where they go. Ari Aster and Yorgos Lanthimos.
Oh yeah, Ari Aster. Yeah, I forgot to mention him. Like it takes a lot for me to give a film a 10, and he made one, so that must count for something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully, you'll we'll make another 10 for you.
Yeah. When I see Midsommar, I don't. I'll just go in over mind. Like I'll try not to hype it up in mind. So it's gonna be hard because I've been waiting so long to see it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you
Yeah.
do enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope so too. Like but he's a very talented guy, and I think, I hope he has a very good career in film. That's all I'm gonna say about
Yep.
it. Is
Want to
there
do?
any other directors you want to mention, or
I think that's it. There are a couple that I still need to check out a little more of, but yeah.
yeah? Do you have time for one more question, or
Yeah, I can do one more.
okay? Um, okay. Here's an interesting one. We kind of touched on it throughout the podcast, but not in like a full films that the general consensus likes, but you don't really care for.
The Godfather is a regular answer for me, and I don't get it at all.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I still like it, but I definitely don't like it as much as like the consensus. I guess I agree in some way.
Yeah, I was just
Um,
I went in expecting like this mind blowing movie, and it really wasn't. And it wasn't even like a okay that was good, but it wasn't mind blowing. It was just like it was kind of whatever, you know.
yeah. Um, a film that I guess it's not like critically acclaimed or as much as The Godfather, but Chef, directed by John Trevorrow. I've never liked that movie. Like even though like most people do, I've never really liked it.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. My dad really likes that movie, and like
Mm.
I really I like John Favreau as a person, but he's directed literally nothing that I like. So I don't know. I don't really have
Mm.
a good
I
track
mean,
record.
I hate to hate on him as a director. I I don't like the only films I kind of like by him are Iron Man and Zathura, and pretty much.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen Zathura. I've seen Iron Man. Iron Man's okay. It's a
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Like
it's a Marvel movie. All Marvel movies to me are just pretty okay.
well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the problem. Like, I wish they kind of like went a bit further with like, even just characters or ideas, but they only seem to like settle for just like the bare minimum, like, you know, story effort.
Yeah, like I always enjoy and are entertained by Marvel movies, but I don't think that they're ever going to be more than just pretty okay for me, with like a couple of exceptions in both directions.
Yeah, there are some examples of, you know, ones that stand out. Um,
Yeah.
I I guess like a film that I used to not like, but I do now, is like Inglorious Bastards. I used to not hate it, but I didn't get why it was
Really.
named. Yeah. Um,
There's like a
but
part in that movie that's kind of like I get why it's there. It's kind of slow, but I still love that movie. It's just Brad Pitt
I
doing the Italian accent is just beautiful.
Antonio Margarete. Oh, I
Oh,
love that scene.
you, there's a callback to that in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that's just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, luckily, like I don't have to wait for that one as long as I did for comes out um in about 2 weeks. So like that's
Ah,
not too
cool. Yeah, it's a fun time. It's kind of directionless for most of it, but it's never boring. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's people are comparing it to like the Big Lebowski in terms of
Oh,
direction.
I could actually see that. Um, I don't. It's not as good as The Big Lebowski, but I could definitely see that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Are there any other movies you want to mention in terms of like,
Um,
stuff you don't really
Metropolis.
like?
Uh,
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
like I get why it's like revered, but it is not aged well at all. Like I don't know. I have
Yeah,
respect for it. But
I actually started watching it like maybe the first 20 minutes, but I actually got really like, do I have to watch all of it? I want to do anything. Can I just, you know?
I feel like I, I'm thinking about going to film school, and if I do, I'll have to watch Metropolis. So I'm like, I should probably give it another shot because I don't know that I really gave it a fair shake, but
Hmm.
I kind of hated it. So yeah,
It's you're not gonna like everything. Not everything's for everyone. So yeah.
yeah, and
Um,
like I
it's
feel
not.
like
It's yeah. Go
go
on.
ahead, you there?
Yep.
All right. Well, like um, I
Uh,
I just completely forgot what we were talking about.
we're talking about Metropolis and
Oh right,
um, yeah,
I, that one is kind of like my feelings with Barry Lyndon, except it was a lot worse than Barry Lyndon. Like Barry Lyndon, I enjoyed for the most part, but then it was just like it tanked to the point where I was just like, really, guys, is this the
mm,
direction you're going to go? But
yeah. I haven't seen I think I've watched like 99.9% of Barry Lyndon, but I think the last 10 seconds I didn't watch for some, but like that still counts.
yeah, like my rule
But
is that I will rate something if I've watched the majority of it, and I mean 99% of movies I watch I've seen the entirety of, but there are a couple that
yeah,
I start and I'm like, you know, if I'm over halfway through it, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not into this. I don't know.
yeah, for sure. Like I think an excuse of it gets better in the second half is not enough to like make. It's not a good excuse for like making people watch the whole thing. It's like
Yeah, like
make both. Yeah.
even if the first half is awful and the second half is great, the first half would still be awful, and so like I don't know. If I feel like people judge movies on the basis of their ending rather than as a cohesive
Yeah.
whole.
For sure. Um, I don't know a lot of movies that have like the worst first half and like the best second half or something like that. That'd be
Yeah,
um,
like I'm trying to think of one that just got off to such a terrible start and actually, oh, that
um,
Rocket Man wasn't terrible, but that some of the child acting was pretty iffy.
yeah. I thought like it did like the first half was definitely a bit like um overly like um a bit over the top in terms of like melodrama at points, like in terms of the acting and like how the film was like edited and stuff like that. It kind
Yeah,
of irked me a little bit.
but like as
But
the movie progressed, it got a little better.
Yeah, but as the second half came, it got a lot more. I got a lot more invested.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Um, but yeah, we mentioned Annie Hall and like, um, yeah, that's all I can think of at this point. But
I'm sure
you
there's a
know,
lot of them. Inside Out.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I can't. I don't really. I think it's like an enjoyable movie, but I don't think it really does much with like its concept, really. Like in my opinion.
I don't know. I don't want to get into my issues with it here because it'll take forever. It's kind of like my thoughts on Brazil. Like
Yeah.
it just like I have some pretty deep problems with it, but like I would have to explain it in pretty
Yeah.
like
Well, if we ever
specific
like
details.
we do another podcast, we could like talk in depth about Inside Out, and we can like go ham on it.
Yeah, of course
Yeah,
I don't
or
know
something
that
like
that's really something that I'm gonna want to rewatch, but you know, I'll
that. Yeah.
I hope to give it a second chance at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in like a while.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, um, that's I think it's cool to wrap it up now.
yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Do you want to recommend a movie?
Yes. So I was thinking, um, because we kind of did like, I recommended kind of a serious, like a bit more abstract film. The film that I've been meaning to sing is 24-hour Party People.
All
Um,
right, all right.
yeah, because it's about like, um, Joy Division and the scene at that time, and I thought because we both love the music,
Mhm.
I thought it'd be a good discussion point.
Yeah, that does sound fun. I am going to recommend a movie that I do want to watch. That I haven't actually seen yet. Certified Copy. It's a 2010 movie. Um, uh, I can't pronounce the director's name, but he's the director of Close Up. If you've heard of that one, it has
Oh
Juliet.
yeah, that's right.
It has Juliet. I can't pronounce her last name. Binoche. Yeah, yeah, her. But yeah.
Yeah. Um, Juliette Binoche. Juliette Binoche. I don't. Yeah.
All right.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning into the first episode of Diabolicast. If you waited through all the discussion, and we appreciate you sticking with us for the discussion. Um, um, on the we have Jonathan on the panel who has a letterbox account and a Twitter, which we'll link in the description. And I'm Michael, um, from channel in between, which um, I'll have relevant links for myself as well. And yeah, um, yeah, it was a good discussion.
Oh, all right. Well,
All right,
see you next time.
all right. See you guys next time. Bye.